I can't hear anything. You all hear me?
I hear you, but I don't hear
I
anybody
can
else.
hear you,
I can't hear
Dana.
Michelle. This is
Good.
Dana.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Butchering that.
Okay, now we can hear you, Michelle. Now we cannot hear you.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay. Can you hear us now?
Yes, we hear now.
Okay. Now we'll start over. Welcome to the Académie Lafayette board meeting, first one of the 23-24 school year.
Woo! All right.
We are waiting for one board member to join virtually so that we have a quorum. So we're going to skip approving the minutes from the previous meeting, and we're going to go straight into stakeholder comments. We have several people, 4, I think, total speaking tonight. So I just want to remind, so that you don't think I'm cruel, that there's a 3-minute limit per person. We've got a really full agenda tonight. We are going to definitely stick to that. I'll set a timer once you start, and then when it buzzes you, you're out.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Okay.
You ready for us? Okay.
We are ready.
Okay. My name is Rachel Stoll. I'm an Oak parent. First, I'm going to name us the Clean Air Cadets. I just decided that's what all 4 of us are going to be talking about tonight. So there's a theme. First, I just want to say that clean air is a human right, and it should not have ever fallen on educators to figure out. But it has. That's our reality right now. So my plea tonight and ongoing throughout this year is going to be, let's not wait for there to be mandates that are coming in a few years. A lot of people predict there are going to be mandates for indoor air quality standards, but let's start right now helping our teachers and kids with better air. There are some quick, low-cost ways that I'll mention, but also we want to plead with leadership to research and apply for grants ASAP, or allow us parents kind of delegate that to us to find grants to fund more expensive, longer-term solutions like HVAC replacements where needed. This year, I learned, and I love and support this, the school is focused on 4 priorities, and improving indoor air quality addresses the majority of those priorities, which is in my handout. So safety and well-being, that one is the most obvious tie-in. Indoor air quality is directly related to student and teacher well-being. I mean, I don't need to say more about that. But there is something that I'd love for us all to think about. We filter our water without thinking. I mean, the city does, there's treatment facilities for that, and we just a lot of us take it for granted. But we don't often think, or we used to not think about filtering our air, but that is becoming more and more standard. So again, I agree with you to be ahead of the curve, just a little bit, just a few years ahead of the curve, and let's start doing that for our students and teachers now. So the other priority I saw is addressing the learning gap. Super important. And thank you. I just want to say that something to think about, children focus and learn so much better when they have a proper amount of oxygen. That seems obvious, but that's something that we didn't previously really think about measuring in the classrooms, and some parents have used accurate CO2 monitors throughout last year and have seen that the carbon dioxide levels are too high for proper cognitive learning and retention. So for now, fresh air through open windows is a great solution, and hopefully in the future, a new HVAC system where needed that brings in outdoor air. So as promised also, not only opening windows, but another low-cost solution is giving teachers screens that are like reusable adhesive screens, you can just buy them, take some of on, so they don't have to worry about bugs getting in, because I know, at least at Oak, they don't have screens on the windows. Okay, so lastly, I just want to say, I don't think anyone in this room needs convincing that this is important, so thank you for making it urgent. That's all I wanted to say. Urgent, you know it's important, just help us make it urgent. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I turned the fan off because they were hearing it through that speaker, so they couldn't hear.
And they thought it was heavy.
We'll turn it back on after.
Hello, my name's Ryan Mott. I've got 3 kids at AL. My oldest is at Armor this year, and my younger 2 are in Cherry. I've also had some concerns about air quality. In 2021, I sat one of these little monitors in a backpack, and the numbers shot up over 3,000, close to 4,000, which, as heard from her, can affect cognitive function. So the goal is to keep it under 1,000, under 800, if at all possible. Right now in this room, we're already at 1,000, and the longer we've been here, the higher and higher that would go. But the rest of the clean air folks have more to speak on to that. I would just say that I've had experience building the homemade filter boxes, if that should be something the school wants to do. I've had good success with that. It can be a project where you involve the kids to help make it like a science project. I had a picture, which they won't be able to see online. But we had good success with this in our house. When my oldest brought home a positive case, we built one of these, we put it in her bedroom. She isolated in there. She didn't wear a mask in her own room. It was just this. But nobody else in the house got sick at that time. So they really do help, even though our ventilation is all connected. What was passed out is air quality on the outside of the building. So this is from the EPA. It's a sample policy for no idle zones, and specifically talks about changes that can be made to buses to reduce idling. Especially at Cherry, we've got a lot of folks that are outside the front door waiting to pick up their kids, or the independent walkers that are out and taking their time. And when the buses are there at the same time, the fumes really add up, and there's a lot of bad effects from that you can read more about. But I would encourage you to look at this as maybe a sample policy and consider adopting it. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. 36 seconds to spare.
Oh, no.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Luke Gard, and I'm the Healthy School Program Manager at Children's Mercy Hospital, and I was asked to do an assessment of the facility. I believe it was the Oak facility, and we did that in October of 2021. So I'm just kind of here to rehash those results really quick, and then, again, recommend some best practices which will align with what everybody else has been talking about. So one of the things, the primary issue that we saw in the building is it is an antiquated HVAC system. It's actually the oldest system that I've ever seen. I've been in 100, 200 different schools, and it's the oldest one I've ever seen. The facility manager that I actually spoke with he knew how to operate it, he knew which chains to pull and everything to open dampers, but when you lose that kind of expertise, it's hard to pass on to somebody else. So if we can get into a new HVAC system where we have system controls, we can basically create set point schedules and all those other things, it's going to go a long way. One of the other things related to, when we talk about the indoor air quality related to the HVAC systems, is we did find elevated particle counts. That would go along with the elevated CO2 concentrations. We're not recycling that air, passing it through the return, and then filtering it properly. At the time, when I was there in 2021, you guys were using MERV 10, which is minimum efficiency rating value filters. ASHRAE recommended during the pandemic that we go to MERV 13 if possible. That's actually where you start filtering out the viruses. Some other concerns that I had while I was in the building is I did see a lot of portable devices that had been purchased by parents and then dropped off in classrooms. The problem with that is the facility person doesn't really know how to manage all those devices. When we get into filter replacement costs, some may be higher than others. So we would just recommend that, again, as a group, the board or the schools purchase those devices and then maintain them themselves so that we have kind of a systematic way of addressing those. What we saw is we saw some that were HEPA-like, so that means it's not actually a HEPA filter. We saw some that had supplemental settings, which is ionization or UV lighting, which can create ozone if they're not operating properly. And then almost every unit we saw was undersized for the room. So they have a clean air delivery rate. Most of the ones that I saw were between 250 and 325 square feet, and your classrooms are between 750 and 1,000. And then the last thing that I noticed there, again, when we talk about healthy schools, is you guys were using a bleach-based product at that particular time for your disinfection. And again, there are safer and healthier alternatives out there. I did include the EPA website on those, and I included a lot of documentation from Lawrence Berkeley National Labs. They have a lot of research on why indoor air quality is important in schools, how it affects performance, attendance, absenteeism, all those other things. So again, that'll be in my PowerPoint. I'm sorry it didn't come through, but hopefully you guys will get that. And that also has my contact information on the last slide. So if you guys have any further questions, Children's Mercy is here now.
Thank you. Wow. Okay.
Okay, so I'm Stephanie Cole. I have been to several board meetings to speak before. So I'm going to kind of wrap it up with a big umbrella policy suggestion. I'm so grateful for the air purifiers that came, but they are step one, and they will not bring fresh air. They'll only filter existing air. They won't bring in that oxygen. And the models that we believe you got based on communicating with some staff do have the UV, which we think can be turned off. But that means you need teacher training. Teachers need to understand how to use the models and what their limitations are. Now, I'm again very glad that we were able to get those from the state, but fresh air is where you get into the cognitive performance issues, the learning gap issues. So Luke had mentioned the dampers in the system have to be manually pull chained to bring fresh air in the system, or Rachel mentioned that you have to open windows and there's no screens on the windows. So, and then I had a conversation with a teacher recently, and I was mentioning, you know, that we were campaigning to get air filters in every room, and she said, "Oh, I have windows, I don't need them." And I said, "Oh, well, you know, I've clocked in the building CO2 levels above 1,000, even for the rooms with windows, and closer to 1350, 1380 in my daughter's room that had no windows." And, you know, it was January, and she said, "Oh, well, we wouldn't open the window in January." You're not going to get teachers to comply with the hottest days and the coldest days of opening windows. It's going to be on them to bring in fresh air in their individual classrooms, and the only way they're going to do it is if they understand how important it is. So the next stage in the big policy structure would be teacher training, fresh air through a new HVAC system, but outdoor curriculum, like, you know, working with the garden groups in town and the other animal groups and different groups who would bring quality educational opportunities to campus, to do science, to do nature exploration, and just get them out of the classroom. Not today, but when weather is so much nicer. And then COVID is, you know, in an upswing. Every sewer shed in Kansas City right now has gone up 25 to 40% in the last week. It's in the red triangle. And so back to Rachel's comment about a sense of urgency, especially for those of us who are at high risk for severe and long COVID, knowing that 80% of COVID cases were brought home from schools in the United States. So please, I'm sorry this is on you, but only you can keep our families safe, because the school has always been the epicenter of viral disease, and now we have COVID as a worse one. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more speaker?
Yeah, but she's running late.
She's the one running late. Okay, all right. Well, we also have TJ on here, so we now have a quorum. So, and just to address, so you know, this isn't a dialogue. Please do send, I know we got some materials ahead of time, but we also have board members that aren't here tonight or who are joining virtually. So if you send those to Jessica, then we can get everything online so that everybody sees everything. I don't know if you wanted to.
Well, just thank you very much for your efforts. Our board members, each of the board member and myself and the administration take care about kids' well-being. We don't have any interest, zero. I have 2 kids here, I have 3, zero interest in putting kids in a situation where they're suffering and not learning. So we have a stake in the game. And I would like also to thank the gentleman from St. Luke. Thank you. Children, sorry.
Luke from Children's Mercy.
Okay. From Children's Mercy for taking the time to come and visiting our school and offering your expertise. Thank you so much for doing that.
Our pleasure. We're here for you now.
We have, as I explained to Rachel, that we ordered 2 FU5 for classrooms and bigger one for bigger space because I work with MetLife, who is in charge of that. And we discussed it a lot, and then the filters. So I think that having something that unifies into training, we know what to do. The last one is about HVAC. Very costly. When we bought Cherry, we spent a lot of money and we were not able to cover everything. So it's something also on our radar that we would like to do. And we are thinking that probably this year, having a capital campaign that includes renovating those 2 elementary school and building here is something that we are trying to see if we can do it. And make sure we have a state-of-the-art HVAC.
Great. And Rachel and I would love to be in touch with the staff member who's launching the units and hope to volunteer to put them in rooms and open up boxes. I know that's labor.
Yeah.
And Lucas said he would come and do additional training for teachers and things at any point. So we are here to support in any way possible. Our labor is yours.
Yeah.
We are so grateful for your time tonight.
Thank you. And I think also one other thing about the bus, the exhaust and the diesel, we are applying for a grant for energy efficient buses.
Yeah, I don't know if you get it or no, but we have 4 diesel buses, and then we apply for grant with federal grants that would help replace them with electric buses. Hopefully we'll get them. I think we qualify, and Kansas City is a priority zone. We think we'll get something, and if we get that, that would be great. We are still looking for buses.
Yeah.
Never mind all the scheduling.
Yeah, but that is something that they've been working on this summer, so we can get it. All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes. So you've got Gwen, Beth, me, and then online you have CJ. Thank you, and Lauren.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so now we'll go back up to the top. When the other person gets here, then we can, at a logical break, then have them present. So, agenda. A slight change to the agenda. I don't know if I have to officially say this, Dana, tell me if I'm wrong, but we've got on here approval of the June 10th meeting minutes, but when we had our June 10th meeting in June, we forgot to approve the May minutes. So you probably all saw my email earlier, and those are in there. So assuming that you have reviewed those and we're ready to do that, can I get first I have to do the agenda. Sorry, I'm new.
You're doing great.
First, let me get an approval of the meeting agenda. The only change that I'm aware of on here is we are not going to vote on the updated bylaws, and you guys should have seen the email on that as well. And so we're waiting for that training portion, and then we will be able to do that. So
Michelle, you need to ask for approval of the agenda with the amendment that you're making to the agenda. And that's what should be approved.
All right, thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda with the amendments that I am proposing?
So moved.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. DJ? DJ?
Looks like you can't unmute. I'll do it by chat and I'll confirm.
Okay, thank you. All right. Now we move to the approval of the June and May minutes. So Dana, can I motion to approve those together, or do I need to do them each separately?
They can be done together.
Okay, thank you. So can I get a motion to approve the May and June board meeting minutes?
I move to approve the May and June board minutes.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There he is. All right, thank you. All right, we will move to governance committee. Beth?
All right. I know, Eliman, you have the overview of the new local compliance.
Yeah, it is, every year it's a routine. Every year this time, it's a requirement from DESI, just to say we approve local compliance plan provided by DESI that will cover us, which has to be done to the state and so. But you need to make a motion.
So can I get a motion to approve the local compliance plan provided by DESI?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. TJ?
He's in trouble with his muting, but
Okay,
he texts me.
okay, all right. If you got an aye, then we're good. All right, that passes.
Now on to the more exciting motion. So we have two potential board members who are here with us tonight. Pam Gard, who Pam helped found the school with Harriet. Oh, look at that. The whole founding members in here. How's everybody doing? Good to see you all. And so it is an exciting time to ask Pam to come back on the board. It's our 25-year anniversary. It's our first graduating senior class, and so having the historical knowledge will be awesome. The governance committee has reviewed her materials and highly recommends Pam. All of the board members received the application and information about Pam, and then we have Lisa. Thank you for coming tonight. Lisa has been on the diversity committee for, I think, 4 years now. We were trying to figure out the exact date, but has been just an amazing asset to the school's DEI work. And given that that is such a core focus of our strategic plan, I think having her at the board will be a tremendous asset to moving that work forward in really thoughtful ways. So we need two motions, which I think we can do together, to approve our new possible board members.
I move to approve our new board members.
I second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Motion passes.
Yay! Welcome to the board. Very excited.
Welcome, welcome.
I board member now, or can you join us?
Yeah.
We can. But we can't vote. Oh, great. We can't vote. We can go to the table.
We get a background check.
You're official now.
You're official.
I will send you information about doing background check and all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
And
you
once
can
that
vote,
is
yeah.
complete, then
Better chair.
you can be a voting member.
Better share.
Come on up.
Yeah, I officially have a seat at the table.
Right, yeah, it's like a ceremony. I walk to the table. Okay, excellent.
Awesome. And then, as mentioned, we're not doing the bylaws, so we can move to the next, which I think is finance.
All right. So first I want to start with accounts payable. Similar to the minutes, we didn't get to approve the June accounts payable, so we sent out the accounts payable last month, but then we also sent the July accounts payable, and those were the ones I wanted to highlight for this particular board meeting. And so there were a few transactions in there of note. And so first one was Next Generation Recreation. That was the remaining 50% portion of the Cherry Playground equipment, so that was replaced. So just wanted to note that that was one of the large expenses in July, as well as the Remco Demolition LLC, that was $12,000. That was also part of the Cherry Playground. That was the demolition of the old equipment and removal. We also had Bill Ireland and Associates. There was the oak fire panel that had to be replaced for $11,429. We had in the budget $10,000, so we did go over budget on that particular item by $1,000, $1,500 almost. We just wanted to point that out. We also had International Baccalaureate Organization, $21,700, and that's for our annual MYP and DP program fees. So not really anything out of the ordinary there, but still wanted to point out the large expense. As well as the school district of Kansas City, we paid them $21,000, and that's for high school classes that we contract through them. Those were mainly the culinary arts classes that we offer to our students that are paid through in city.
That's through Manual Tech?
Not
that program?
no, it's different.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not. Oh, it is? Okay. My apologies. So then Toshiba was $21,000 and almost $22,000. That was for additional Chromebooks, fourth grade Chromebooks. And the last notable item I wanted to bring out to your attention was Tyler Tech, and that's our annual student data software system that we have. And so that was almost $20,000. Does anyone have any questions over the accounts payable file? We will need a motion to approve the June and July 2023 accounts payable transactions.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. TJ, we getting an aye?
I'll get his text, okay?
I wouldn't
Sorry.
Okay.
Something
We
wrong
normally
with
harass
my-
you, but
We need 5.
yeah, we need 5 today since we have so many absent. All right.
All right.
That's your report.
Next item, so the financial statements. So the Finance Committee met 2 Thursdays ago to discuss the 2022-2023 results. And the financial statements do report a deficit of $160,000. And I'll come back to the variances here in about 4 slides. But I did want to point out, if we're looking at cash in, cash out perspective, so if we're looking at how much we dipped into reserves, it's only by $25,000. So there's some reconciling differences there just between what's held on our balance sheet. And so we only got into our reserves by $25,000. Of note, I did want to point out that DESE ran out of sped funds in June, so we were expecting to receive $320,000 in June, but they ran out of their appropriation, so they were unable to make our June payment. So we got that money in July, so it was a timing difference. So essentially, we would have received $320,000 in June, however, they ran out of their money. So instead of being, getting into our reserves by $25,000, we really would have had a surplus of $290,000. So unfortunate timing difference there. Depreciable items, I did want to point this out. So when we get our audit, so once the audit's complete, there'll be a little bit of a difference between the $160,000 deficit and what the audit reports. And what that'll be, a big change there I'm expecting is the depreciable items. So like we had quite a bit of capital expenses last year, particularly fourth floor renovations. Those will be removed as expense and put on the balance sheet or the statement of assets, liabilities, and assets in particular. So we'll show less expense that we report on the balance sheet. And then that'll be depreciated over several years, so just a slice will hit the 22-23 school year. So like I said, revenues versus expenses, we came up with a net deficit of $160,000 on the financial statements. On the screen there, that's the financial statements. The board has that in the board packet. So it shows the differences in revenues and expenses. I'm going to go through the variances here in the next slides. So main one, we were all planning for the $1 million ESSER funds. We were going to have those deposited last year, draw those down, but we've moved them to FY24 to help balance that budget. So that's a big difference between what we had budgeted, because we're moving that to carry over into the current fiscal year we're in.
And that's the last year of ESSER, so there will be no more
There will be no,
ESSER funds.
with the exception of the teacher retention grant.
Oh, and how much is that?
It's real minimal, like $17,000.
Not $1 million.
No, it's not. It's not $1 million. So I already mentioned $320,000 of SPED reimbursement. It didn't clear, and like I said, they ran out of their appropriation, so they were unable to make that June payment request. Basic formula, it also came in under budget because we had a lower attendance percentage, right around 92% instead of the 95% that we had budgeted. Gifts and grants, those were under budget as well by $144,000. On the expense side, so salaries and benefits, those were actually under budget by roughly $600,000. And the main part of that is we have unfilled positions. We had unfilled positions. So, professional development, staff recruitment, we were over budget, and part of that difference or variance was the Teach for America that cost $40,000. I do have that baked into upcoming budgets now as a recurring expense.
And that's the onboarding of teachers? Is what teachers?
The whole year. Close to it. 25,000, I think.
Instructional expense and student activities, we are also over budget by about $54,000. A big part of that was the hoop reading cost. We were expecting to be reimbursed, but we haven't been reimbursed for that cost.
We will be reimbursed.
We will be reimbursed.
Okay.
From school semester.
This one was small, but I still wanted to point it out. So rent was over budget by $7,000. And what that is, that's the parking lot over there at Cherry. It wasn't baked in the budget. I don't know how that had been missed previously, but I've got that in budget going forward. Food service was over budget by $166,000. So if you go back to our April board meeting, we reported that we were expecting to be over budget. It's just due to increased food consumption. So not a huge shocker there to me.
But food service question, I can't remember where I saw this in the notes. I know we put a bid out to get a new food service provider, but nobody accepted the bid, because I know there were worries about the quality of our food.
I don't know how much we can get into the details on that.
Okay.
But you and I can, or the other board members can chat.
And I have a question for you, Stephen. So does that mean that we had less students who consumed more food?
We had more students that consumed more food.
I thought our attendance numbers down. I thought attendance was down. So we have we have fewer students overall.
From pre-pandemic, and that's what we based the food estimates on. We use pre-pandemic numbers. And so we've increased since pre-pandemic. And so we'd increase in students as well as food.
Okay.
And when the attendance numbers are down, that doesn't always necessarily mean the students aren't here during lunch. It just means they're not here the full day.
You would think it correlates, though.
Yeah.
It should, but it doesn't.
Okay.
I don't know, but I assume there's probably more kids eating that did not eat pre-pandemic, eating school lunch.
Yeah. Office and business expense, it was over budget as well. In March 22, so almost over a year ago, to July 22, we had some AT&T bills that we were disputing, and so we ended up settling that for $80,000, and so that's one of the biggest items there that were over budget in that category. I did want to report this, so fund balance percentage. So the initial ASBR, that's annual Secretary of the Board report for DESE, we had a filing of 30% fund balance. So you take your fund balance and divide it by your Fund 10 expense and your Fund 20 expense, and that gets you your fund balance percentage. That's 30%. SLU requires us to be at 8%, so we're definitely over that. Basic formula, I did want to give you an update on this. So in July and August, payments included an increase in the per WADA amount, so that's good. The amount per WADA in July was $11,562, and then in August, today's payment actually, it was $11,325. So it's increased over last year's payment, which was at $10,491, and it's more than what we budgeted at $11,000. And so if that remains constant, I'm looking at the lower number of $11,325, and we have an attendance rate of 92%, then we'll receive approximately $200,000 more basic formula funds than what we budgeted.
And I feel like we never have an increase in WADA that we're not expecting. What caused?
It's what they calculate. So when I was looking at when I was preparing for the budget, and I ran the Kansas City ASBR numbers, and if you calculate this $11,325, that's the number I was getting was $11,300-ish, but we were trying to be somewhat conservative and just go with 11,000. And so I don't know why July was necessarily more than August. It may have been DESE's catch-up month. But I'm thinking we're going to be more towards 11,300 based on what Kansas City's ASBR was last year. Any questions?
So with the not getting those DESE sped funds until this year, so like on our audit, will there be footnotes about that then translates to like our annual report, so that
there should not be a footnote due to that timing.
Okay. All right. Development. Yeah. Notice anything on here?
Yeah, for we've see the new logo is there for our 25th anniversary. That is to Alex Lasker Design, how to say it, Enterprise or something. Thank you, Alex.
That's great, really great.
So we wanted to make sure that it captures also our own logo with advice from Michelle, so that it can be printed everywhere and used and people know what. So we're in the process of celebrating it. One thing we will need to do very soon is setting up a committee and involving students in the planning process and what kind of a big celebration we need to do. We have to do something like what the mentioned, something like that. And then other with alumni, students too, being present and celebrating our successes and new initiatives. So that's going to be a fun year. We'll start very quickly once we have a development director and keep going.
Did I just hear Harriet volunteer to run that?
She did.
That was so nice of her.
Awesome. She stopped by and now she's ready to show.
Oh, and Adam's going to
Great, he volunteered too, he just didn't know yet.
There you go.
We've ordered also t-shirts. Do we know any update about the t-shirt for the teachers?
It's on our admin agenda for Wednesday. I don't.
Okay. Want to have some t-shirts for our teachers with the 25th anniversary logo. So,
We were waiting on the logo to be final.
fun.
We were waiting on the final logo.
Oh, it was fine. It was fine. So, as you know, also we're celebrating a lot of things this year. It will be pre-K-12, full, we are pre-K-12. Now it's full circle, and we'll be graduating our first high schoolers. Fantastic. It's an amazing group of kids who trusted the school, and we lost almost none except for those who relocate to other countries. They're still there, great kids. So I think also the parents, from the feedback we received, are very satisfied with the education of the kids. We'll continue to deserve their trust and thank them. So a lot of things to celebrate. So I'm going to skip the development director and maybe you can talk about it. So the other one I just talked about is 23, 24, with the development committee probably thinking about what special fundraising we need to do, including that fundraising, the capital campaign. Just to give you how do you call it, take you back, when we decided to do a pre-K-12 expansion, we divided into 3 phases. First phase was to buy this building, create 2 elementary schools, and move the middle school here. And it required a lot of money for. The second phase is open the high school, which we do now. And the third phase is building an auditorium or a gymnasium here. We've realized the first 3 phases, but this gymnasium and auditorium will be coupled with fundraising for LMK and Oak for renovation, for HVAC system and anything we need there, so we have state-of-the-art facilities. So it may be funded with different approach. I was in DC in July. It was almost July for the federal grant. You know, we received federal grant of $1.3 million, and one of the opportunities they share with us is what is called a credit enhancement grant, where they can give money. You put it there, you don't own it. You put it there just to lower funding and financing your project, capital project. So I think that there are things that we can do, approach between fundraising and borrowing, and also our own reserves. As I said, we are 30-something%, way above the 8%. When we started 12 years ago, we were at 1 million, I think. So we multiplied almost by 4. So that's something that we will discuss with the finance committee, the development committee, and the full board and the community, and see how we can approach. The last capital campaign was when was.
Oh, wow.
2012.
2012.
Yeah, it's my first year.
Forever ago.
My first year, 2012, 2013, 15. And we did a campaign again for buying this building. We raised $6 million for the expansion, a little bit more than that. So it was 4 years ago, maybe, or less. 4 years ago. 4 years ago, we raised $6.5 million. So which means that, again, I don't know how our, what is called the pneumatic tax credit is off next year.
2025.
Next school year. So I think that those are things that we need to see. Once you get that, it will be extremely helpful for our whole community. It can be scary, but we've always tackled scary things, and we prevail. Thanks to our community.
It's an exciting year.
Yeah, I know. And so hopefully, new development director starting soon. Members of the development committee have gone through resumes and interviews and narrowed down to 2 candidates that Mr. Bang and his team will then interview. So. All right.
Okay. Fun part, data.
Data.
So, as you know, we just finished a 5-year strategic plan. So we worked with the district performance committee to see how do we track our performance and our progress. So tied to the goals and objectives of the strategic plan. So what it gives is this. So for the first goal, for student population, making it reflect the demographic of Kansas City district boundary. So we will be tracking on demographic data, race and ethnicity in September, and student application data in January and March, student retention data September, and free and reduced data in November, because the DESI core data is October 1. So in November we should be able to have it. For this second goal about school culture, we will be looking into student perception surveys, the student bullying surveys, discipline, looking at the curriculum, what we have not done it yet. We have to do it by December, probably see what we have in the classroom, what's being taught. Parents perception survey. The surveys will be in June for the panorama survey. We're still thinking about how to tailor our own needs to the survey to make sure that the information we want to collect is the one we're asking for. And bullying for April, and student discipline we have twice a year. We do it in February for the first semester and in July. In July we don't have board meeting. So we will need to see if we'll be able to have those things, everything in June. It's not interesting to be looking at student discipline in August, beginning of the school week, so you can do it. So board retreat also, I put the survey at board retreat, you can look at it. If you do them, if you administer the surveys in March or April, by May 15th it should be done. So we will may be able to be available for the board retreat in June. Look at it.
So that means we need to find a new survey tool.
Or just look at, I mean, I think one of the conversations we had in the committee meeting is just looking at what are the questions we are asking in, like, I think Panorama can be a really valuable tool. The questions we're asking don't align with what we're trying to look at, and so I think more than likely that's the work that I know your team has already started looking at.
You'll see that it's not really what we're looking for.
Right.
Academic success, student achievement. We look into NWA twice a year in November and June. Map data is going to be for December because it changes all every year. I don't know if this year we'll be able to be released unembargoed by October. If it is, if it's available by October, our own test scores are available, but we don't know how we do it compared to the other districts. So we'll see. Once it's an embargo, we'll be able to present it as it is. For the academic achievement for student subgroups, we'll be looking at the same test scores, NWA subgroups, MAP subgroups for December, and for the for academic Lafayette High School student graduates, we'll be looking to IB diploma and the career programs for November. I need to, again, work with our counselor and the principal to make sure we have, and the IB coordinator. Normally, the registration for IB tests is in October. And for the highly effective teacher, for teachers, recruitment support and retention, we'll be looking into certification and demographic and nationalities. We're also looking at possession survey for retreat in June and teacher retention data in October. Any question about this?
Is that on the website yet? Because I know.
This one?
Yes, the revised strategic plan.
No, Alex is working on it, and I think it should be done tomorrow. We will be able to put it on the website. Student discipline. It's grade K2, K5. A number of students suspended in school and out of school suspension. We have in-school suspension, 16, and out of school, 10. A total of 26 kids. For K-5. 900 kids. Because Oakley is 500 and Cherry is 400 and something. I'll say 900 and it's around that. For number of incidents, 41, and you see this by grade level. For 6th grade to 11th grade, we are 32, 17 in school suspension and 15 out of school suspension for staff incidents, and 32, and then 27 for number of students. We have 330. Last year, as you know, there have been particularly challenging in 2 grades, and hopefully we have been working on making sure that everything is improved for the coming year, especially the Saturday school part, was a huge problem. Saturday school, no, this is by ethnicity, sorry. As you see, there is, I put the key takeaway, but I can comment it here also. What we have here, black students are still overrepresented. If you look at the total grade, is 4%. Minority, Asian is too small. I mean, 1 out of 15 is too small to be counted as a study. And for gender, male slightly overrepresented, and Saturday school. I compare Saturday school first semester and second semester, as you can see it here. The number of students, 48, here is number of students was 70. Looks like the one-time suspension was more current in the first semester than in the second semester. We changed the process in March, kind of the last quarter, to get back to what we used to have. One of the reasons this is particularly high compared to previous years was there was some change in the process, and instead of every month is roll out, it was all the way I think 2 or 3 months. Yeah. It captured more kids. We're getting back to the monthly one. And by gender and ethnicity, same thing. You see it here. Has a disparity that has to be addressed for ethnicity also.
So when your teams look at that, just sort of the overrepresentation of our students of color, what are the conversations that you all are?
We're trying to analyze each occurrence, make sure. So especially for suspension, looking at the what could have been done differently. Today we had a conversation. I had a conversation with the counselor and the social worker about approach to suspension, and we have been looking into also what program for behavior intervention programs that may be efficient to help reduce this. We have been using here restorative justice, and we had a good conversation that we need to go back and look at the last 5 years or 10 years of student discipline and see what was where we start going up and down and so on. I remember that in 2018, 2019, it was very low, the suspension. It was only 5 for the whole middle school. So we're trying to go back and look at what changed and what approach, what also behavior intervention programs. At this point, we're using K5, we're using TBIS. Here we have used reformative justice. We've used restorative justice for the last 2 or 3 years.
Have you seen it make a difference in classroom?
That's something we discussed today, and that's why we're going to back to look at the last 10 years of discipline records and look at it and analyze it and see what we've done better previously and what we've done. And I'm saying that 18, 19, all the 5 suspensions, none of them were students of color. 5 years ago, I mean, in 2008 and 2009. We need to go and look at our approach and what we use and so on to see how to resolve it. But also making sure that cases we can analyze and see what happened, what went wrong, and so on.
I'm also always curious the impact of the number of new teachers we have on suspension rate, because oftentimes I think what I hear is new teachers struggle to effectively address classroom management, right? It takes a couple of years to really learn how to do that well, so I'm always curious how that sort of data point.
It's correlates in middle school, especially for Saturday school. Remember last year?
Yes.
The top 3 or 4 teachers who gave Saturday school were all new teachers.
Right. Yep.
And those who, the teachers who have been here very long, it gave very few Saturday schools. That was correlation. So I just talked about it. We see just slight change, the change here. Saturday school went slightly changed, and then we see also the out-of-school suspension from semester 1 to semester 2. There's an increase of 1.5 points. Again, student colors more represented in suspension. And that's something, again, we have to look into and track it and make sure that by the time we present again in September, we have a genuine drop. I'm not talking about fake drop, because, you know, I met with my colleagues in Canada. In Canada, in February, we had June, we had a conference, IB, and they invited me to dinner. All of them were Canadian teachers, and we talked about discipline. And they told their districts say you don't suspend. And what N is doing is, in fact, sending kids home without saying they have been suspended. It is not. That's what they're sharing with me. I say because if you have to suspend, you go all the way to superintendent to approve it. But they're telling me, in fact, kids that were sent home without putting a suspension. So, but anyway, I think what is important to just focus on how to support kids and teachers to change the culture in class.
Absolutely.
Panorama survey. This is our second year using Panorama survey for families, for teachers and students. This year, the family one went too late. We didn't have the higher participation rate. It's at 26%, no, 30%. Usually we have at least 50%. Teacher and student were very high because it was done in building at least 80% or 90% or more participation. The problem with the survey, as I said, is the numbers. Some of the questions, that's why I want to change. It doesn't have a lot to do with teachers' school impact. But when they talk about family efficacy, it's how the family can help their kids. And being an immersion school, if you go, I went there and looked at the question about it, it's very low. They can't help at home the kids. So which means for us, knowing that our family can help their kids at home, what do we do to make sure they get it before they leave? And what kind of support they need to have? That's a question like that. Barrier to engagement is whether or not 75% is into positive. The number is into the positive part. 75%, but we have a benchmark. That's why we have that right button. So 75% said, we exactly what it say there. It say 75% factors that can create challenges for families to interact with or become involved with their child's school. Survey takers respond to the question, how big of a problem are the following issues for becoming involved with your child's current school. And the second one is how confident families are with regard to key parenting skills, is family advocacy. Family support, families' perception of the amount of academic and social support that they provide their child with outside of school. So again, it's hard to see what impact we can do to change these numbers. Learning behavior, families' perception of the child's learning-related behavior. So at the end of the day, there's one thing that comes in the survey that I think we should ask the diversity committee talked about, in the sense of the low number in terms of connecting with other families. Connecting with other families, we need to make sure how do we in each building create a sense of community where parents can be connected. So that's why we want to change this the question to make sure we can collect data about student achievement, family engagement, real, not the barrier. Because some of the barrier here, the highest barrier, family engagement in the survey is their own personal schedule. They don't have time. That's what is being said here. So, which means again, probably when we're doing meetings or certain things, doing it after school, and making sure the parents are available. This is the teacher one. We have two of them. The cultural awareness and professional development. Cultural awareness and action is how well the school supports staff and faculty in learning about, discussing, and confronting issues of race, ethnicity, and culture. Looks like we're doing fine on that part, the diversity part. But professional development, perception of the amount of and quality of professional growth and learning opportunities available to staff and faculty. That's one thing that we need to look into. And what we're planning to do is creating a professional development committee where we have teachers' involvement to define what they need. Because we've tried a lot of things over the years, including letting teachers choose whatever they want to learn on and provide the funding. But it's a hard nut to crack, and making sure that teachers get what they need. So we'll move towards that and get a survey for professional development and create a committee. So we'll continue to do what we're doing for cultural awareness, diversity, making sure that teachers are well trained. For the students, one, this is third grade to fifth grade, mindset, growth mindset. Now the benchmarks are all green, positive feelings and self-efficacy. So again, one thing you can see here for third grade, fifth grade, about self-efficacy and positive feeling, going and look into that. Even though in the middle, looking how frequently students feel positive emotion. That's what it means. Or how much students believe they can succeed in achieving academic outcomes. So, need to see if there's a better question to get to what we need. Supportive relation, how supported students feel through their relationship with friends, family, and others at school.
Did you see anything that it was different in one grade versus the other between that third and fifth?
So they don't provide. They provide. If you see the growth here, the growth down and up here is compared to the January one, because this survey, the students are the only one surveyed twice. Okay. We surveyed them in January and in May.
Michelle, we did have a lot of discussion over this survey, really maybe not meeting our needs. Yeah. And what would that look like? Can we work with Panorama to maybe shorten the survey a little bit so that we can do a little better tracking? But right now, it does not disaggregate by schools or anything, so that you can really develop strategies to get at some of this. So
we can have it by schools, but what we can't is, the ethnicity part and so that we need to know who is, you should be able to go to find, if you work with them, what might be the problem. But the good thing about Panorama though is, if you have an issue, you can go and dig down, they provide some, suggestions and some how to address the issue. The thing is, how do you, how frequently students feel positive emotion, you need to see how to address that. So, it's certain things that we need to go back and dig down. High school, 6th grade to 12th grade, they don't have the same, looks like everything went a little bit up, compared to, January 1, and the benchmarking also are all green. So the growth mindset, good that they have growth mindset. Students' perception of whether they have the potential change those factors that are central to their performance in school. Self-efficacy is somewhere also we need probably to look into how much students believe they can succeed in achieving academic outcomes. It's part of emotional. Remember that these surveys are socio-emotional surveys. It's not really academic, geared to academic. It's more feelings and socio-emotions for students. So we need to get to, social emotion is good, but go to also the other part of the academic part, how they feel being supported in some things. That's what we don't have. It's mainly a socio-emotional survey.
We did sort of talk about this, that the basis of strong relationships with adults in the schools is really at the heart of all of these other things, right? If you don't feel like you are well connected and supported by the adults in the building, then you can't get to the other thing, and you can't get to the academic scores either. So that being sort of at the heart, but needing to look at it segregated, right? What does it look like in the buildings? What does it look like for different subgroups, right? Do our students of color report different sort of support than our sort of white students? And so being able to drill down in the data then makes it actionable, but high level is really hard to.
So the whole survey is in the, and everything, all the questions are in the folder. You can go and look into that. Question. Any questions? So I identify this survey reflect information. We need student survey is more socio-emotional only, which is good of course, but we need to see if we can ask other questions without lengthening the survey too much. So kids may be able to do it. Almost, I would say 85 or 90% of kids survey.
Did they do it in class?
In the class. Okay. So if you look at positive feelings in 3rd grade, 5th grade, to improve really, that's where we see. And if you go down to the question, you know, 6th grade to 12th grade in self-efficacy needs to be improved. Again, all these are linked to social-emotional. Teachers' professional development needs to revise and create a PD committee involving teachers in the definition of the needs. And as I said, the schedule for families is the main obstacle to their involvement in the school. And we need to also help facilitate parents' connection with other parents. I think we have talked about it at the diversity committee to see how we can create that sense of belonging. Middle school is harder. Parents kids don't want parents to get here, but we should find a way to do it. But elementary school, how do we make that connection and make the kids, teachers, parents connected with others? Any question, comments?
Nothing? Do we want to, are you still on this? Sorry.
No, I'm done with this part.
Okay.
So the program report, staff recognition, back to what's going on and our priorities for the coming school year initiatives we're taking. So Kerry is recognized, is excited to welcome new teacher Colin Corte, Sylvia Gillen, and Rowan Jenkins, Nicola Lombard, Katrina Chu, and Linda Harris. Karen Corte was here with us and left Canada and came back. We were very happy to have her back. Great teacher coming back from Canada. for Oak staff recognition. We recognize all the new Oak staff members for the decision to join the Académie Lafayette French Medium School. We are very grateful and wish them a very good school year. Part of our orientation. And Arma is celebrating. Mr. Arma Safak is the math teacher for receiving the Star Teacher of the Year award. We appreciate his service, his dedicated service.
How long has Mr. Safak been here?
12 years. He arrived 1 year before me, so that's how I know. So we've had they arrived.
Right, so you all started the same year, correct? You're 12 years. Obviously, this year. Right, yeah, that's an amazing year.
That's a fact.
So, in addition recognition, thanking Justin Jones for a successful summer school. He was the director of summer school. And also congratulations, Heather and Arnold Safak for winning the 2023 Star Principal and Star Teacher Excellence Awards. So, I wish I send it here so that it won't stay in that, how do you call it, in the record. So people see that I'm changing it here.
There you go.
I don't want to.
There you go.
Good, let's keep going. So it's a Star Principal and Star Teacher Award. Thank you very much, and it's great. They're great. I mean, they haven't here arrived the same year, as I said, and had opened the Cherry campus, and I've been principal, and Mr. Safak has been also extraordinary. I mean, great. We have great teachers, and he also deserves this. You can look at every year how much he grew the kids he has in mind. Back to school. Transportation challenge is bigger, crazy again this year. Last year it was the same thing. We were able to solve the Arma issue. Now, first student informed us 5 days before school start that they did not have enough drivers to serve the kids. We had a meeting with them Monday prior. They said, number one, they're going to increase the cost by 40%, transportation, that we will be paying 40% from last year. And then they're still looking into drivers. And then on Friday, they only have 5 drivers, not 5 drivers, 4 drivers, 3 for Oak and 1 for Cherry on the Friday before. So we need to make a decision. I guess what they would want after talking to them is using the same buses like we're doing. So Cherry and Oak with a 1 hour separation, so which means the one of the campus will be starting at 7:30 and the other one at 8:30. With of course the possibility of buses would not be there. Today bus number 4 was not there anyway. So we may not be having anyway the same quality, same craziness and the same issues that we won't have anything to do. So that's how we're trying to see with us here how to buy an additional bus or 2 additional buses so that for those routes at Cherry that are longer, so we have dedicated buses for them. And the other 3, the shorter route, we can tier them with what we have. So the problem is finding drivers issue. So we'll be looking for additional drivers. This week and next week we're a little bit short of drivers because one of the drivers is sick and we'll be back on the 23rd, and another one is in the process of background check. That's why we shot by 2 drivers. It's going to be challenging. I just wanted also to thank Nina, who is the bus dispatcher. She is amazing. You agree with me? She's a fantastic job. It's such a stressful environment. I think she's amazing. Can't lose her. So, but don't tell her. But
we're going to tell her. Yeah.
Yesterday, when was it? Friday. I came out there at the bus stop and I saw Student Transportation of America put there, we're looking for drivers in front of our drivers.
Oh,
I took a picture in front of our buses So if you're looking for drivers, that's something. And we were laughing about it, and I say, okay, but I think we pay better than them. But they put an incentive of $1,000. So, but
It's so hard.
but yeah, it's an issue. Everybody is an issue. Finding good buses is an issue too. So I think that if we're able to have 2 buses and 2 more drivers, we should be able to serve Cherry, especially those longer routes, and then tier the shorter routes. That's our game plan for this year.
Which I think makes sense. I think anything we can do to move away from first student, I mean, they just are not able to provide service. We cannot have another year like last year where we had 1 bus that was late every single day. And that, yeah, we can't do that to family. And I know our hands are tied, right? It is just an impossible situation.
So just invite the parents to know that we understand some of the frustration, but many districts are doing
Oh, right.
Everybody's
in the same.
2 hours. I mean, if you go to FLA here, they start at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
They start at 9 o'clock here, and other schools start earlier so that you can use the same buses.
Right.
Transport. That's what has
You have
happened
to.
in Leesaman, Liberty, and we need to know that we're growing, and we have this issue trying to resolve it. Army went well last school year, the rest of the school year. We want also the other buildings to have the same great experience. But we will have to invite parents to be patient, and also we understand the frustration. It's not our first choice to do it.
Right.
So is the plan to go back to the normal start and stop times, or to stay with this version even when she gets fully staffed with drivers and buses?
We can change this at this point because we'll still have cheering.
Okay, so this will be the new permanent time.
Permanent for the rest of the school year. For the rest of the school year. Now, if I don't think even if you got those electric buses, you can still continue to use those buses, the diesel. You have to give them back. Yeah.
Oh, it's a trade.
It's a trade.
Not interesting. Okay, good to know.
Well, what is it? So we applied for the clean bus grant, so we're waiting for the process to see if we will receive some of them. In terms of student enrollment, the last check is 1,395 students, pre-K-12. In line is our budget, but projection, but it's higher than what we have in our budget now by
30 kids.
By 30 kids.
Our current enrollment is over what we budgeted for.
Correct.
Yeah, it's over what by 30 kids. So we will. I think it's a combination of retention and something like that. We still have kids available in kindergarten.
How many seats in kindergarten available?
I need to check it. Maybe 10 seats around that. We have 5 at Oak for Cherry. So what we've seen is more and more applications in first grade. I've read few literatures nationwide. People, in fact, I read it this week, during the weekend, why the kindergartens are not back to school yet. I don't know why there's an issue nationwide about kindergarten skipping school. I don't know if it's the case in Kansas City. Probably Show Me School may help answer that. And I met with Leslie a couple of months ago and shared some concern about people moving out of them. Still, I believe one of the biggest impact we have in kindergarten is our outreach program. It's no longer implemented for the last 3 years almost. Yeah. We have not done any of the outreach we used to do. We have not had the whole last year a French teacher in those kindergarten programs. And despite the fact that we tried a lot of time, hired people, they didn't want to come. And it's a problem because we used to have 4 to 5 preschool, low-income preschool used to go there to help.
How will that change in the coming year? Do we have any new solutions?
We're still looking. We paid. We offered twice. They did not come in, and we're thinking on making it a really permanent position where we hire somebody wherever they're coming from, like a normal teacher, so that they'll do it. Because at the end of the day, it helps us, especially for our projection, diversity projection.
Yes.
We can reach it. When we did that, and worked really hard. If you look at it, we reached all our goals for diversity. We're where we need. And since then, we are slowing down, and we need to really quickly get back to what we had before.
How about an ad in the call? Did you post an ad?
I don't know. I need to go back and see what's being done. But mainly for minority students, that's where we're having issues, not for majority, for Caucasian. We don't have an issue there. We have the number of the projection. But the minority, that's where we have gap. Of course,
One question. Sorry. I have a question.
Hello?
This is going back to transportation. So far this year, Oak has already had some cancellations of bus riders. And the text message that goes out states parents must pick up by 3:45. But I know last year when we toured Cherry campus, the principal over there had the gym open for days when that would occur, given that you only give about a 2-hour window for parents whose students do ride the bus notice to come and pick up their students. Are you all going to do something like that for the Oak campus as well, and maybe even Armor? If it's I don't think it's happening at Armor, but are you going to do something similar for Oak campus?
I talk about when the bus is not coming or late, when the bus is not coming.
The buses are not coming.
Yeah, I know that something happened today. I read an email that bus number 4 did not come at Oak. So I'll need to go and check with the building what they're doing there. And generally we try to work to make sure that we do the same thing in both buildings, especially if it's working somewhere. But the buildings do not have the same facility at Cherry. They have a cafeteria. They don't have it over there. But anyway, we'll go back and see what's being done in case when the bus is not there at Oak, and discuss it tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, I just said last year it was just a really good idea what the principal was doing at Cherry to sort of help parents for those last minute scrambles, and we weren't seeing the same thing over at the Oak campus.
Okay.
So, okay.
So this is what we want to focus in the student safety and well-being. And when I talk about well-being, of course, it's the diversity, equity, and inclusion is part of it. So we want everybody to feel well accepted and feel sense of belonging. The safety part, physical and emotional safety and well-being. We focus on the French immersion. We've grown, and we need to make sure that our model of French immersion is being implemented with fidelity in pre-K, 8th grade, and retrain people and have expertise for French immersion. We've already sent people for training. We want to make sure that it's happening everywhere. Addressing the learning gap for French, Math, and English is a subgroup, student subgroup. If you look at it, they have been more impacted by COVID, and the getting out of the gap is taking longer than the rest of the group. So we have to be very aggressive again this year with Title I, with all the programs, and really making sure we do what needs to be done to really help those kids get out of that gap. Yeah. And the last one is recruiting, retention, and supporting teachers. I'm glad that at this point we only have one teacher, one position to fill. We fill everything. And that position was somebody who resigned and took another job in another organization in July. So it's hard to replace. Yeah, but so what else? So for the initiatives, let's start Wednesday. It's part of supporting the teachers. Because we wanted to. We already have a longer school days than most school districts. We have 7 hours, and most schools have 6 hours. That's what the parents also need to understand that we are providing 1,150 hours a year of instruction. The required time is 1,044 from there. So it's maybe 20 days more of instruction, more than the rest. So faculty council also, we used to have a teacher representative. At some point, nobody wanted to do it. I just want to have a group of teachers that we can meet with and talk about their feedback and input on different matters. I talked about the professional development committee put in place to get teachers involved in defining their professional development needs and how to put in place, and last but not least, what we call community academy or parents academy. We talked about it at the diversity committee. How can we, on a regular basis, at least have something on our website for informing parents, but also inviting experts on French immersion, on kindergarten and different things, socio-emotional learning, and diversity, inclusion, equity, at least having once-a-month people in the buildings and have discussion or celebration or something like that to inform parents. And it's extremely critical when you do French immersion. I know the school needs to do that from what I heard, but we need to get back to that progress. Parents need to know what to expect every year, what's happening with French immersion, language immersion, and then see what growth they need and what challenges, so that we won't be losing students in second grade, for instance, because parents are picking out, and yet all those kids will progress. Once by the time they finish 8th grade, you can look at our middle school, how well it outperformed everybody around here among the top 5 of the years. I think I'm done. Any question? Anything?
Sounds like an exciting school year.
Yeah,
There's lots going on as
4
always.
days in.
Yes.
Yeah, the transportation is the stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible.
So the parents who enrolled is not here for the.
Yes, let's go ahead and do.
Hi. Thank you. Over here.
Okay.
Over here, thank you.
By the microphone so people can hear you.
The mic.
There we go. Thank you. Is that better? Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. My name is Deonica, or Dee Lovelace. I am a second grader at the Cherry campus, and my concern is with safety. And I sent a letter, and I don't know if you were able to read it.
Yes, that did get sent. Yes.
But I am greatly concerned because safety is important, and I know there's a lot of activity, there's a lot of traffic going on. So I just wanted to make the board aware of it. I don't bring myself here today to ask for a solution from you. I want you to be aware of it. And I've been very privileged to work with Madam Royce at Cherry. She's been very responsive. Every time I bring it to her attention, I've been emotional about it. It's been very calming and supportive. I've also brought that to other people at the school. But my concern is that it's consistent, and that's a problem. Because at any point in time, people at that campus are in jeopardy, and they don't know that door is open. It's a specific door. It's always the same door, and I can't be the only parent, but I seem to be the only parent who's saying, hey, do we see a door open? I wonder why this door is open. Oh, look, it's propped open. And so
And just to clarify, if anybody hasn't read the letter yet, this is downstairs in the cafeteria upper room.
Yes.
During upper room hours.
Yes. And upper room is a separate activity from the school, the independent program. And so they use the cafeteria area on the south side of the Cherry campus building. And so there's 2 blue doors that are down there. One blue door goes into the cafeteria, and the other blue door goes into the kitchen area. Neither one of them have a keyhole or a keypad. My letter says that the one in the cafeteria does, but that's a clarification on my part. They don't. The door I'm referring to that's always open or has been open that I've made the school aware of is the door that goes into the kitchen. So I've gone into the kitchen myself and said, hey, everybody, I'm in your building, and nobody let me in. I just walked in. And so I want to make the board aware of this because it's a school-wide problem. It's our district. It's our community. And it's not just Académie Lafayette. It's also our room staff. So my goal here is to make you aware, continue to work with the Cherry campus, and even Oak and Armor, because I don't know if those are issues at those campuses either. I made a suggestion in my letter about Stop the Prop. I would love to have that at every single building. Springfield School District has a sticker, it's a stop sign, it says Stop the Prop. It's on the exterior doors, a simple sticker, where you have a campaign to initiate it every year to let people know, close the door. Do you see it propped open? Take out the prop. Something very simple, very cost efficient, I think. Other options were an alarm, a keypad, a camera. Those are maybe upper echelon requests compared to the other things going on with the budget right now. It only takes a second. And that's my concern. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate your working with me, Madam Roy. It's always awesome. And I think that this is something that has to be brought to your attention. I don't want you to be unaware of what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We
need to approve. We got everything. Okay, sorry, I was just trying to.
Yeah, I was looking to see if there was anything else we need to vote on, because I know, Lauren, don't you have to go? I mean, we only have a couple more minutes left, but.
I see the agenda updated bylaws.
That one we took off the agenda. All right, then I think we're left with president's comments, I think, is that right?
Yep.
Okay, so how about that? So just a reminder that the rest of the school year through May, we are back to the second Monday of each month. Thanks everyone for, we were trying to move that around and for moving to that. So in person here at 6 p.m. And I'll put a standing meeting on your calendar this week so that it's there. It's like I didn't want to put it on after this one or with this one and confuse everything, but I think I still did. So it's just me getting off to a great start.
You're doing amazing. You're doing great.
I just wanted to also I want to thank Beth, our immediate past president, and as you know, was voted in as vice president and was chairing the governance committee. Made the committee member on the diversity committee, but her board leadership, I mean, it's been stellar, and she's been so thorough in bringing me up to speed and taking things off of my plate, because, so anyway, it's been awesome, and kind of correcting me here today as I go along, so that's good. And then Michael's not here, but, he just completed his third term as VP. He definitely put in his time and has been but it's still staying on the board, which is awesome, and is continuing as chair of the finance committee, which is awesome. And I think he remains a member on the performance committee as well. And then, Lauren was voted in as board secretary, so thank you, Lauren, for stepping up and also continuing to serve on that district performance committee. Thank you, TJ, for joining the development committee. You're such a community builder, and we're thrilled to have you on there. And newly voted Pam Gard has agreed to chair the development committee. And I know you've been serving on that for at least as long as I've been here, and probably longer. And just has, as Beth said earlier, so much passion for the school. And love it. And then for everybody, anyone still listening at home, the board member positions, bios, committee involvement, it's all on the school website. And every board member, in addition to their board director duties, serves on a committee, on at least one committee. So anytime you want to see all of that. And then I also I really, this bus situation has just been crazy, and I just want administration, teachers, entire staff, everybody chipping in on this, and such grace under pressure. And like what you were dealing with last Monday, and then, to get all those logistics ironed out was monumental, and how you stopped, pivoted, and were the people you were at the Meet the Parent night or Meet the Teacher night was just amazing. It's like nobody would have known that, on the water it's smooth and underneath it's like this. But it was just so good. And then, I made it a great experience for the teachers and the students the parents and the students coming back and the teachers. And then knowing that when that last parent and student walked out the door, you were back to, solving this. So it's just, I don't know, you just are patient and understanding of all the issues with the parents, and many who may not realize that this is an issue for a lot of you as well, who are also parents, and now you have to report to school before your kids even go to school. And So anyway, it's not perfect, I understand, but, it's just admirable how everybody has functioned and done this, and just to point you guys know your board appreciates you.
I second that, yes, second
Yeah,
that.
very much.
Great leadership, and very much appreciated.
Very much. All right. And we have no closed session items, right?
No?
All right.